Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. This Saturday coming, Chris Billam-Smith will defend his WBO Cruiserweight title against his old foe, Richard Riakporhe. And this is a good fight. This is a good fight because Billam-Smith is currently 19 wins with 13 KOs, one defeat on points. He's 33 years old, orthodox fighter, 6'3", and his defeat was to Richard Riakporhe. And that was back in 2019, July, I think I read it was July 2019. So that's almost 5 years, isn't it? And Riakporhe, okay, this is revenge time for Billam-Smith, but Riakporhe will have something to say about that. He's 34 years of age. I didn't think he was that old, but I checked earlier. He is 34 years of age. He's 6'5", so he's a couple of inches taller than Billam-Smith. Orthodox fighter, as is Chris. Yeah, they're both orthodox fighters. That's what I had to think for a moment there. But Billam-Smith is a orthodox as well. And if you go back to, he's undefeated, by the way, Riakporhe, in 17, 13 KOs, no draws, no defeats. He's been a pro for getting close to 8 years now. And as with a lot of these modern fighters, they don't have many fights a year, not really. He does have some decent wins on his record. Krzysztof Glowacki, who was way past it, he knocked him out in 4 rounds, but Glowacki had seen so much, far better days. He's got a 2-round win over Fabio Turchi, who had a glossy record, 20 wins and 1 defeat, which probably flattered him a bit. He did get a good win over Dion Juma, who at the time was undefeated in 14. Stopped him in 8 rounds. If you go back to, by the way, he also fought Jack Massey, who fights Isaac Chamberlain for the EBU title fight. He beat him over 12-round decision. At the time, Jack was undefeated in 16. But if you look at the Billam-Smith contest, it was a split decision first time round, over 10. And it was for one of those WBA intercontinental trinkets, which gets you a ranking, but not much else. Billam-Smith at the time was undefeated in 9. And there wasn't a lot in it, a split decision. So there were only a couple of points either way. I think one of the guys might have had it quite wide, like a 7-3 or something like that, 7-3. But one of the judges did go for Billam-Smith. So, he also stopped Tommy McCarthy, who would go on to be EBU champ. That was when McCarthy only had 1 defeat on his record and 13 wins. I actually sat ringside for that one. That was back in 2019. Stopped him in 4 rounds. He's fought good domestic level fighters and European level fighters, Richard Riakporhe. But at 34, he's really got to, as they say, piss or get off the pot now. And who better to do it against than someone you've already beaten, albeit in a relatively close fight. Now, Billam-Smith, a year younger at 33, 2 inches shorter, he's going to want that revenge. This takes place, by the way, not in Bournemouth, which is Billam-Smith's, favourite hunting ground, because he's from there and he's a bit of a local hero. It actually takes place far closer to Richard Riakporhe's neck of the woods. Richard Riakporhe is from London, and in fact, this fight will take place at Crystal Palace's Selhurst Park football ground in South London. But Billam-Smith, God, if you're a world champion, you're supposed to fight anywhere, aren't you? It doesn't really matter whose backyard you're in. I think you'll probably have quite a few fans coming up to London and supporting him. There's no doubt that Billam-Smith has improved a great deal since they first fought. He's got a 12-round win over Isaac Chamberlain, who I mentioned. He also beat Tommy McCarthy twice. First time was close. First time was a split decision over 12, and then a couple of fights later, he stopped Tommy in 8. So he was a better performance, and he probably has learnt from wins over. Vasil Ducar, there was a 10-rounder. Dylan Bregion, he beat him, who was 11-1, I think 11-1 or 11-1-1 at the time. He beat him over 12. going 12 with Isaac was a good one. Lawrence Okoli, of course, who he won the belt off. Strange car crash of a fight, but kind of absorbing in a bizarre sort of way. He won a majority decision over Lawrence, knocked him down 3 times. I think Lawrence had a couple of points taken off for his bear hugging routine. So, by the way, the last fight was against Mateusz Masternak, and he stopped Masternak in 8 rounds of retirement. But that doesn't really tell the story of that fight, because I thought Masternak was winning that fight. And in fact, so did 2 of the judges. 2 of the judges had Masternak up, I think it was 68-65 after seven rounds. And I thought it wasn't Chris Billam-Smith's best fight at all. I thought Masternak was lighting him up at times, was beating him, punching well to the body. Strangely enough, it was Billam-Smith that won it with body punches, because I think he damaged one of Masternak's ribs and forced him to retire. But for the first 4 or 5 rounds, it looked like Masternak was on his way to grabbing that WBO belt. Billam-Smith was forced to kind of fight in that fight. Masternak started very, very powerfully. Like, his physical strength seemed considerable over Billam-Smith. But Billam-Smith did show a good chin, and he showed that he's got guts, that he can work through a little bit of a mini crisis, that he's probably a 12-round fighter. He was marked up after that fight, but he found the punch. He found a way to win, and I think he deserves credit for that. But it did show some cracks in Billam-Smith's armour. He can be outworked. He can be outmuscled. If you had someone who probably can fight 12 rounds at a high pace, Billam-Smith's going to struggle to go with him. Even against Okoli, he did lose rounds. In fact, there was a majority decision, the Okoli fight. Despite the knockdowns and all the points off, weirdly, it was one of the guys had it 112-112. So don't ask me, I don't know. I thought Billam-Smith won that fight relatively easily, certainly with the knockdowns and all the points off and everything. It was a wide decision, but one of the guys said, no, there's always usually one card out of the 3 that's really weird. Don't you find that? But although he has improved, Billam-Smith, when you look at Riakporhe, I mean, 6'5", big guy, strong guy. Has he improved since their first fight? I think yes, he has. Has he improved more than Billam-Smith? I would say no, not really. I'd say Billam-Smith's probably improved more, thinking back on their fights. I mean, Riakporhe had 2 fights in 2023, only one in 2022. I think he had 2 or 3 in 2021, but he didn't fight at all in 2020. So it's kind of stop-start his career, periods of inactivity. Whereas Billam-Smith, I think, has had more of a chance to evolve, by having more regular work. Like, he had the 2 fights last year against Masternak and Okoli, which is very good opposition. He had, I think, 3 fights in 2022, 3 fights in 2021. He also fought in 2020. I think that was just the once. 2019. I think he had about three fights. So he's progressed more, and he's been a pro since 2017. A lot of these, he's only had 20 fights since 2017, which you would say, well, that's not many. But then a lot of these fighters, these modern fighters, they don't have that many fights quickly. You don't have to be 15-0 or 20-0 or 25-0 before you fight for a title. Like I say, Riakporhe himself has been a pro for 8 years, and he's only had 17 fights. But how do I see this fight going? I would say that Riakporhe is going to try and use a mixture of aggression, control the range. I think he'll probably try to, from the word go, keep Billam-Smith on the back foot. He'll probably have watched that Masternak fight and seen the success that Masternak has had with aggression and with clever punching, not just walking forward and slugging, but being busy, but varying your work and putting pressure on Billam-Smith. That kind of, I think he almost took Billam-Smith by surprise, Masternak. I think Billam-Smith might have thought Masternak was easier work because he's a veteran, Masternak. He's had over 45 fights. I think Riakporhe will probably start quite quickly, mix up his punches, try and use his range, but not box on the back foot. I think he'll be the one looking to stick the jab, body to head, head to body, bring the right hand over. Again, both orthodox fighters. I think Billam-Smith, after 4 rounds, might find himself behind on the cards. I think at some point, Billam-Smith is going to have to gamble and start going forward, perhaps more than he really wants to. Just for in those middle rounds, that middle third of the fight, rounds 5 to 8, I'd say he's going to have to really gamble and go forward and try and certainly work the body. I mean, he had great success. It won him the fight against Masternak. And of course, Riakporhe quite tall and thin for the weight, plenty of body to aim for. I think Billam-Smith's going to have to definitely do that, even if he's not landing all the punches, even if they're landing on arms, biceps, shoulders. Keep, kind of outwork Riakporhe and make him fight at a pace he doesn't like. Make him feel uncomfortable. The last third of the fight, I think probably after 8 rounds, I think Riakporhe might be still a point or two ahead. Could be even maybe. But I think the last third of the fight is where this fight's going to be won. And I think Riakporhe, 13 wins in 13 knockouts, in 17 wins. That's quite a high percentage. Billam-Smith, 30 knockouts in 19 wins. I think if Riakporhe is prepared to do a hard 12 rounds, like really go for it, like really at a fast pace, and if he's got the character to survive a few barrages to the body, a few little, bumps in the road, I think over the last third of the fight, he can probably, if he's got the gas tank that he'll need, I think he will take over in the last third of the fight. And do I think he's going to edge it on points, or do I think he's going to stop Billam-Smith? It wouldn't surprise me if he stopped Billam-Smith in around about the 10th, 11th round. So I'm going to go for a stoppage for Richard Riakporhe, maybe a points win. I'm not sure. But I've got a feeling Riakporhe wins the fight. I didn't like a lot of what I saw early on against Masternak from Billam-Smith. He may have taken him lightly. I don't think he'll be taking Riakporhe lightly. I think this is a huge test for Billam-Smith in the psychology department, because he knows Riakporhe's beaten him once. So is he going to allow that to prey on his mind, or is he going to use it as fuel to get revenge? Riakporhe, it's in London. They'll have a fair bit of support there as well. Yeah, I think Riakporhe gets it. Late stoppage or points. That's going to be my prediction. I'm not going to make a comprehensive guess because I'm really not certain. But I think Riakporhe pinches this fight. Yeah, wins it late or on points. So that's my opinion. What do you think? Leave your opinion below. I'll have a read of what you've got to say. Thanks as always for subscribing. If you're new to the channel, you could subscribe. That'd be brilliant. You'd help us out a lot. Spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing. And hit the like button as well, because they count the likes. I don't know why, but they do. Must be something. We've all got to have a hobby, haven't we? And theirs is counting likes. So hit the like button as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate your time as always. Catch you later. Bye for now.